Well, I can think of no good reason to delay this any longer. How's everybody? I see we have a few people here, not many. But I wanted to check in with everybody and say, hello, I'm alive. I survived the accident. I don't know how. Those of you who saw the remains of my car in the last video I put up may be wondering if I survived. Somehow I did. And Oreo came out unscathed. Come here. Some people are asking for you. Come here. Come here. Hey, come here. All right. She was crawling all over me a few minutes ago. Now she doesn't want anything to do with me. Come here. Hey. You want some of this? Come here. Yeah, this will get her. Come here. Come on. Come here. Say hello to everybody. Hello. Hello. Yeah. You're a good girl, aren't you? Give me a kiss. Give me a kiss. I'll give you a kiss when you give me some of that cookie. I'll give you a kiss, whether you want one from me or not. Okay, now you can go lie down. But, Dad, I went to all the trouble of coming over here, and I see that cookie. All right, well, that's not what we're here to talk about. I'm here to let everybody know that this past Sunday at the March Kansas City Open, I ventured out for the first time without my walker. Yay. I was limping around like an old man. Well, I am an old man, but it was pretty tough to get around, but, you know, I did it. And so it was very gratifying, very heartwarming and humbling, really, that there were probably, I don't know, 35 or 40 people, maybe more, come up to me during the day and just, you know, tell me they were glad to see me up and around, hope I'm doing well and all this. They all heard about the accident, and I told them, you know, I'd been having some crazy blood pressure readings here at home, and I was about 50-50 on going to the KCO Sunday. And I told them, you know, but in the end, I figured if I'm going to pass out somewhere, I might as well do it in a bowling alley full of people where at least somebody would have the good sense to call 911. And I was actually surprised at the number of people who would say things like, well, I'm trained in CPR, or I'm a nurse. My husband here is a first responder. You would have been in good hands. So I'm glad I made that decision. But in any case, it was great to be out, great to be around everybody. Everybody was so nice. I really was very touched. And we taped 2 episodes of Prodigy Bowlers Tour. Division 3 is the undercard this time. And Division 1, of course, we always do Division 1. And I have even better news. The Division 3 show is done. It's up on YouTube, and our Prodigy patrons already have it. They'll have it tonight and all day Friday. And the Division 3 show will go live on YouTube. Everybody will get to watch it starting at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central on Saturday. I'm hoping that will be our regular release time from now on, unless something unusual comes up. Saturdays at 1 Eastern, 2 Central, 1 Eastern, 12 Central, 11 a.m. Mountain Time. That'd be, 10 a.m. Pacific. So, and if you're on the other side of the globe, then you'll have to figure it out for yourself, because I don't know. But in any case, the Division 3 show is fantastic. There are lots of interesting, coachable moments on the show. Some really interesting bowlers, I must say. Good storyline. Couple of interesting matches. But I'm kind of burying the lead here. Wait until you see the Division 1 show. That will be the next one I edit. I'll go to work on that probably starting tomorrow. And I would like to think that I might have it in time for the following weekend, because there's a second KCO this month, another adult youth on the 19th in Belton, Missouri. And if I can make it, I will. As of right now, I don't know how I'm going to get there. I still don't have a car, thanks to my accident, but I'll find a way to get there, I'm sure. At least that'll be the goal. But in any case, the Division I show that's coming next after this one that will be released, well, that just was released tonight to the patrons that you'll be able to see on Saturday. The one after that, oh baby, it's got the most exciting, thrilling, down-to-the-wire finish of any Prodigy episode we've ever done. And I'm telling you, if I don't screw it up, it may be the best show we've ever had. So get ready and strap in for that one. So anyway, I just wanted to let you know that I'm not dead, at least not yet. I survived, kind of hobbled, and kind of careful when I'm walking. Don't have a car yet. Soon. And Prodigy is back up and running, and there's a new episode that you'll be able to watch this weekend. And that's pretty exciting. So let me run through the comments here and see if I can catch up with you guys, because, you know, I haven't talked to you in a while. Josh G., I'm assuming that's Josh Greenberg, one of our Atlanta Prodigy kids. Josh, I hope you and your family are doing great. Are you playing tennis yet? Have you shown them how that's done? We got a kid here, one of the regulars on Prodigy up here, named Carson Beach. He's a tennis guy, too. Maybe one of these days, two of you can play tennis with each other. He's a little bigger than you. But then again, everybody's a little bigger than you. I know you've grown, but you'd have to grow a lot to be bigger than him. Anyway, I hope you're doing well. It's great to see that you're there. Nico, my man, Nico Puhar. Nico is such a... I don't know what I'd do without Nico. Nico is a guy who is a member of the Prodigy Facebook group. We've never met, but whenever I'm in Facebook jail for saying something naughty, getting myself in trouble, or I'm unavailable like I was when I was in the hospital recently, Nico is always the first one to go post anything about any of the Prodigy kids he finds on YouTube or on the internet. So Nico, I applaud you. I appreciate you. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Marble Sky says, hi, thank you. And Nico chimes in here. Hopefully you are recovering well from your accident. I'm doing so much better. There were no broken bones, nothing dislocated. I had a severely sprained right ankle and foot. And then once the swelling started to go down, I realized that I also suffered some impact on my lower leg, because it feels like I've been kicked in the shin like nobody's business. So I'm still pretty sore down there, but it's so much better than it was. I couldn't put any weight on that foot at all when I first had the accident. And I was delirious right after the accident. I didn't even know I was hurt. But boy, when I, was in the hospital and started, trying to get around on the walker, oh baby, that was tough stuff. All right, Gaming with Gab. Hi, I'm a big fan of the Prodigy Bowlers series. It's amazing. Well, thanks. I don't know quite what to say other than thanks. I'm glad you enjoy it. I hope you tell everyone you know, whether they're bowlers or not, because sometimes people come to the sport without even knowing they'll like it. They find, there's more to this sport than I thought. And hopefully, I kind of see myself as a little Johnny Appleseed doing the show, trying to just sprinkle these little seeds for people to find, and maybe they'll sprout new bowling disciples one day. So, okay, Manatee Power. I hope Oreo makes an appearance. Well, she made a short one, but now she's back curled up in her bed. I'm not going to try to disturb her again. She might come out again before this is over. Yum Bodium, I guess. Hello, I watch a lot of your videos. Very good production and action in them. Thanks again. I do spend about 35 to 40 hours producing each episode of the show. And Yum Bodium says, I'm good. Well, I guess you are. If you say you are, you must be. Jacob Smith. Okay, Jacob Smith is a KCO bowler. I'm assuming that's the same guy. Jacob is a big fan of Prodigy, was watching it when we were in Atlanta, and was thrilled when we moved up here. And if I recall correctly, I believe he lives in Lawrence, and when we did the tournament out in Lawrence, that was kind of a home game for him. But Jacob, correct me if I'm wrong about that. Dominique Cunningham. Hello, Coach Randy. Hello back at you, Dominique. Nico says, you can thank the good Lord. Let me tell you, I am lucky to be alive. Let me tell you about the accident. So I was coming home from the pharmacy with medication. I was sick as a dog that day, had what I thought was bronchitis, had been up all night the night before, coughing and wheezing. And, you know, I get this every once in a while. And they ended up sending me to the ER that day, and I learned that I had the flu. Apparently, there was a strain of flu going around that gives you that wheezing, upper respiratory, deep cough, and you cough and cough and cough, and nothing ever comes up, and you can't get rid of it. It's like COVID, except you don't die from it. And, oh my God, it was just awful. So anyway, I had that, and I was coming home from the pharmacy with the medication. I picked up Oreo on the way from the ER to the pharmacy, so she happened to be in the car with me. The pharmacy I can pick up at a drive-through, so I don't have to go in, leave her out in the car. And I'm headed home, and first, I missed the turn-in for my apartment complex. I have turned into that or gone out of that driveway, I don't know, 100 times, maybe 150 times since I've lived here. And how I missed it, I don't know. But that might have been the first clue that I wasn't firing on all cylinders, right? So I could have just done a U-turn and gone back through a busy intersection, done a U-turn through the intersection, come back through. But I thought there's too much traffic there. I'll just go around the long way. It's a less traveled road and come in the other side of the apartment complex. And that's what I was doing. And I got within, I don't know, 500 yards of the apartment entry. And I was on a road that had me gently curving to the right. And at some point, all I can figure is I must have lost consciousness. Because at some point, instead of continuing to swerve to the right with the road, I just went straight and drifted into the oncoming lane of traffic. And the girl who was driving the other car, an 18-year-old girl, made an evasive move to try to avoid a head-on collision. And by swerving to her left, it meant that her right front and my right front met in more of a glancing blow rather than just a head-on. And that evasive move that she made may have saved all three of our lives. And I'm so grateful to her. And they told me she's okay. I'm thankful for that bit of news. I hope it's true that she is okay. I think it is. And anyway, it was just horrible. And I have no recollection of the accident other than just suddenly seeing headlights in my face and bang, the impact. And I don't ever want to go through anything like that again. That was horrible. So anyway, but I'm better now. My right foot and ankle are not 100%, but they're getting there. Okay, Trayvon. Hey, Randy, how are you feeling today? Well, I've already told you. I'm feeling better than I did a few weeks ago. Jacob, can't wait to see you on April 2nd for the next KCO. Actually, the next KCO is the 19th of March. And that is an adult youth over at Aaron's Family Fun Center in Belton, Missouri. And then I don't know what the date is of the first Sunday in April, but if it's the 2nd, then it's the 2nd. And then at that one, we returned to Leavenworth, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's the house that I didn't get to see because I was in the hospital. So at least I'll get to see Leavenworth finally. Nico, you put the video out, so you survived. Yes, that is true. Deshaun, hi, Oreo. I love dogs. See, you have another fan. If you'll ever come up and say hello to your fans, they'd love to see you. Everyone, 3, ignore my... Okay, you're having a conversation, Yumbodium, with somebody else. Manatee says you should get a cat. That will never, ever happen. Actually, I used to have a couple of cats. I had a little black cat that was black and white, long-haired, just a great cat named Dandy. We thought she was a girl, and my wife at the time thought she was pregnant. And then one day, I gave Dandy a slap on the rear end, and I said, hey, wait a minute, come here. Oh, and Dandy was not pregnant. Dandy was a boy. Anyway, somehow we didn't realize that until then. And we had a tiger stripe Siamese, tiger stripe Siamese named Flash. I called him Flash Cadillac. So it's not like I've never had cats, but I'm a dog person. Always been a dog person. Okay, how did you get there without a car? Are you talking about the March KCO this past Sunday? Well, I've hired a dog walker to come take Oreo out for her heavy business once a day. I can take her right outside the door, a few feet away, so that she can tinkle. And she's been real good about not requiring that I walk her all over creation to get her to go. But when she goes, number 2, she's got to go on a longer walk. And so I hired somebody to come take her out and do that every day. And this guy who's doing that lives pretty near here. And I've told him about what I do with Prodigy, and he's seen me editing some of the videos and kind of interested. And he offered to take me. So he gave me a ride there. And then I have this guy who's a dear friend who has become kind of my assistant here in Kansas City doing Prodigy. He lives in Topeka, which is not exactly next door. He drives in to do this, and he took me home. So thank you, Adam. And that's how I got around that day. All right, Manatee Power with more. Bad news from bowling, where I am from. Our main center of 62 years shut down, and our big tournament nearby in Baton Rouge has announced their final tournament after 50 years. Well, that is sad. That is very sad. But surely there's another bowling center that all the business can migrate over to. And I'm sure they'll be thankful for the business. Jacob Smith, love you, Randy. Can't wait to see you again in the next KCO. Well, Jacob, you have been such a dear friend and supporter of Prodigy. I can't wait to see you too. I know you had a close call in the stepladder that week that I wasn't there in February. Hopefully you'll do even better, and we'll have you on the show doing it. So good luck with that. Carter Kincaid, dang, you're amazing at time zones. Ha! Actually, I'm not. I'm terrible at math. It's amazing I can keep score at bowling, but it may be the only thing I can do with numbers. Craig Deshawn, I live in Norman, Oklahoma, which is nothing to brag about. And I watch Prodigy Bowlers every chance I get. Thank you, Craig. I used to live in Tulsa a long, long time ago when I was fresh out of high school. My first radio job away from the nest when I ventured out on my adult journey was at a radio station in Tulsa called KAKC, the Big 97. And we had pretty good ratings. A lot of people listened to that station back in those days, back when Top 40 radio was still on AM. Many of you are not old enough to remember those days. Stephen Lane, hey, Coach Randy, hope you are doing well, my friend. I hope I am too. I'm doing better than I was. Nico, you didn't get insurance to cover some of the costs for a new car? Well, yes, of course I did. They've actually issued me the settlement check. The car was totaled. I got a sum that was actually pretty good, I thought. But what can I buy used for that amount? My car was a 2010, so it's not like it was going to bring a whole lot of money. But it brought a pretty good number. I'm going to have to find something that I can afford with that. My credit is not the best. I had some medical expenses about 10 or 12 years ago that kind of blew a hole in my credit. So, it's just going to be what it is, and I'll get something. I don't know what, but it's going to have to be something that I can carry around one or two platforms for Prodigy, and then eventually I'll have to get strong enough in my lower legs once again that I can climb up on a ladder. That was one thing at the KCO this past week. I tried to climb up on something. It wasn't a ladder, but to get up higher to where I could adjust the camera, but my legs are so weak right now, I couldn't push off. So that's going to be an issue for a while until I get better. So you may not see that high shot that we get from the platform until my legs are right. So that's the way that is. 77 Music Nut, wish you the best. Thank you, sir. Josh Greenberg, the tennis season starts on Saturday. So, all right, that's good to know. Thank you for that little nugget of information. That's probably true here, too. So I'll know that Carson will have that to distract him from bowling. Vincent Chen, how are you doing? Good to see you. Thank you, Vincent. It's good to see you, too. Trayvon, that's good news that you are still alive. Yes, thank you. I thought so. And you're trying your best to record Prodigy while you're fully recovering. Yeah, well, I think other than a few little moments where the camera shook a little bit, we had it up on a table. We were at Olathe Lanes East. They have these big giant tables that can move around, and so at least, unless somebody bumps into them, they're not going to move. And, there's a couple of places where somebody, I think, leaned on the table or something, so you get a little camera wobble. But it's not too bad, and it's up high enough that, there's going to be a few shots where somebody's head or their shoulders get in the way of the pins, but they move out of the way quickly enough that you can see what's going on. It's, I see sometimes the heads block the pins on, televised bowling, so that's not a big concern of mine, but, ideally I'd like to get up higher. And we will once I'm able to walk and climb, a step ladder again. Palette Wizard, good to see you. Coach Randy, thank you. It's good to be seen. Ethan Angel, hey, it's Southwest Air Fan. Well, formerly, I have my real name now. Okay, well, you're going to have to forgive me because I can't keep all the aliases straight. So I'll take your word for it, and it's good to see you, Ethan. And thank you for tuning in tonight. Palette Wizard, can't wait to see you back on the PBT soon. Well, your wait is over. It'll be a couple of... If you're a Prodigy patron, you already have the latest video. If you're not a Prodigy patron, go to patreon.com/Prodigy Bowlers Tour and become a patron. It's like $5 a month. How bad is that? You get the videos before everybody else. And if you pay $10 a month, you get your name in the closing credits as an executive producer. Pfft, how cool is that? If Rowan is listening, I hope his bowling career is working out. Well, the only Rowan I know of is Rowan Sautner, who is one of our Prodigy kids in Georgia. And, of course, we're not in Georgia anymore, so I haven't seen Rowan since I left Georgia in November of 2021. But, the question that begs is, who's going to be the first Georgia Prodigy kid to make the trip up to Kansas City to bowl in the KCO and qualify for the stepladder finals to be on Prodigy up here? Who's the first Georgia Prodigy kid who's going to be on Prodigy up here in Kansas City. Somebody will. Don't know who. It'll have to be one of the younger ones because the older ones are all aging out and they can't bowl in the KCO. I accidentally skipped Michael Steedman. Sorry about that. Hi, Coach Randy. Love the show. From Australia. Hey, dude, down under. Hope everything is well with you down there. Josh Lopez says, well. Palette Wizard says, I remember the video when the power went out. Yes, that was fun. That was when we were in Georgia and the lights all went out. Vincent Chen, I want to start to bowl again, and now I know how much a fool I'll make of myself. Learn a lot here. Well, I don't know why you would think you're going to make a fool of yourself. First of all, I've heard this from people before that I don't want to bowl. I'm so afraid people are going to laugh at me or they're going to think I'm terrible. Nobody's watching you. You think they are, but they're not. They're busy in their own little worlds doing what they're doing in their own little world. They don't care what you're doing. So don't let that bother you. Just go bowl and have fun. Jonathan Holbrook, one of the kids in Georgia that appeared on Prodigy, once maybe? Hey, Randy, glad to see you're doing okay. Thank you, Jonathan. I hope you and your family are doing well down there, too. Come up and see us one day. Wi-Fi says, hi, Coach. Glad to see you back. Thank you. Craig Deshawn, once again, I learn a lot when I watch Prodigy Bowlers. I bowl in a league, and my average has improved from 189 to 194. Well, that's good. I hear sometimes from people who say that, your little tips that you sprinkle in have really helped me. And that's why I do it. I mean, I do it in part for the kids that are on the show because I don't know if they have a coach. I'm certainly not their coach most of the time. There's a couple that I might have an opportunity to coach, but most of them I don't coach. I don't even know most of the kids on the show, or some of them I'm getting to know through the show. Some of them bowl at the center where I coach, so I'm getting to know them that way too. But most of them I don't coach, so I offer, the little coaching nuggets that I sprinkle into the show for their benefit, figuring that they will eventually watch the show. But it's not just for them. It's for anybody else who might see themselves through the bowling of the kids on the screen, and they might take something away from it. So, hopefully people will benefit from watching the show. Carter Kincaid says, I had that type of flu in October last year. Yeah, my best friend who lives in Shreveport, he said he had it too. It took him 3 weeks to get over it. That's about how long I had it. Niles Wilson, I'm so happy to see you again, though thought we lost you. Recovery is a blank. I think the word is bitch. Is that what you're looking for? Especially at our age. Boy, isn't that the truth. Ethan Angeli, again, I've been in a four-wheeler accident once. Ooh, that does not sound like a good thing. Blood came out of my ear down to my neck. Brief, painful experience. Yeah, that's not good. You would try to want to avoid that, I would guess. Wi-Fi. I was once in an accident when I was in high school as a junior. I was riding a van going back home. These two clowns in a Ford Taurus weren't paying attention, and I felt a violent rumble from behind. Let me tell you about my accident in high school. I was in speech and debate in high school. Can you tell? And our teacher, his name was Mr. Brown, no relation, and we were at a tournament in Neosho, Missouri, which is down near Joplin, south of Joplin. And we were on our way home from getting our tails kicked at the speech and debate tournament. And he had rented a 9-passenger station wagon to transport all these kids that were in the speech and debate tournament that were going down there. He drove us all down, drove us all back. We're on our way home. I'm sitting in the back seat directly behind Mr. Brown. There's 2 other kids in the front seat, 2 other kids sitting to my right, and in the back, it was one of those station wagons where you had 2 kids facing inward on either side, and one kid on the luggage shelf facing the rear window. This is before the days where everybody was required to fasten seatbelts. And we get rear-ended. Get this. We get rear-ended by a brand new 1969 Missouri State Highway Patrol radar unit driven by, I'll never forget his name, Officer C.W. Hampton. Well, it totaled both of our cars. We were thrown forward and slightly to the left into the oncoming lane of traffic on 71 highway. This was a 2-lane highway. And thank God there was no cars coming in our direction when we got thrown forward, or we'd have probably all been goners. But I remember for some reason when we got hit, I immediately went down into the, head between your legs and kiss your butt goodbye pose. And I was one of only 2 people in the car that did not suffer a scratch. The kid sitting on the luggage shelf in back, who was facing the back, his head went through the back window, and when we saw him, he had a laceration right at his scalp line, and blood was just shooting down his face like a waterfall. I thought, oh my God, Mark is going to die. Mark didn't die. He did spend the night in the hospital, got some stitches, he's fine. And the guy sitting in the back on the right side with his left side against the back of the station wagon, the Missouri State Highway Patrol radar unit, the officer tried to steer to his right to avoid us, but didn't. So his left front side of his car impacted right into Bill's ribs. And other than some broken and bruised ribs, Bill was okay. He's still alive today. God bless him. Good friend of mine. And then a few months later, Bill was at home in Kansas City driving his car, and he was going through an intersection where a car came speeding through the intersection and ran right into him. And the car that hit him was a Prairie Village, Kansas police officer who was on his way to an accident involving another police car. So I don't know where you get luck like that, but I'm glad I don't have it. But yeah, I've been in some crazy accidents. Connor Brown says, hey there, hi there, ho there. I thought I was the only one who says that anymore. Josh Lopez, I don't like cats. I don't dislike cats. I just don't want one. That's all. I mean, I love dogs. Vincent, I'm a dog person too. Cats, totally life experience. Don't know. Jeremy Johnson, glad to see you again. Hope all is well. Thank you for all you do for bowling. Thank you for noticing. Do you watch PBA bowling? Josh asks. Sometimes. Sometimes. That's the best way I can answer. I mean, I'm not married to it to where I can't miss one. I used to be. Back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, I saw every one of them. I was locked into it during the days of Earl Anthony, Mark Roth, Marshall Holman. And then it kind of got weird when they went to the gold pins in the 90s, and I lost interest in around 2000 for a while. And then I got interested again when I started coaching. So, Manatee Power, I'm beginning to put a finger on Missouri accent. Oh, you share that sort of deep nasally tone that Pete Weber has. Huh? Surprisingly quite different from the rest of the Midwest. I don't know what you're talking about. Connor Brown, I am so glad you are safe. Thank you, Connor. Hopefully I will go on a trip to Kansas and meet you and bowl at the Kansas City Open. Well, that would be awesome. You need to get your butt down here because the KCO season ends, well, you can't bowl in the Kansas City Invitational in June unless you've bowled in 5 events up to that time that season. So your last chance is May. So we've got the second. Well, the adult youth on March 19th is already sold out, so that's not available. So the only two you got left are April and May. I don't know where they stand as far as selling out the field. They just sold out the March event. It was the first sellout of a points tournament they've had, I think maybe ever. It was amazing. The place was packed. Manatee Power, LOL at America. Can't get a loan because your credit is bad because you commit the sin of having medical expenses. Yeah, only in America. Don't get me started on that one. I'll show my political stripes. Anthony Solomon, I guess. I'm a Special Olympics bowler. I go bowling to practice and have fun. Do you have any advice? Keep having fun. If it's not fun, you won't do it. And just, it's hard to be... hard to beat the advice of straighter is greater. Don't try to do too much to the ball. The most important thing you can have in bowling is a straight arm swing where the ball goes where you're looking. That's my advice. Work on having a straight arm swing. Vincent Chen, buy another Honda or a Toyota. Can't beat those. Yeah, that's kind of the way I feel. The Honda that I just destroyed was my 7th Honda. I've owned Hondas since, the mid-'80s, I guess. I haven't owned anything but Hondas. Stephen Lane, and to give you an update on my PBA regional journey, I didn't know I was needing an update, but now you've got me hooked. I made it 3.5 games and ended up having something pop in my knee. Oh, this is not good. That made me withdraw from my first event of the season. Next stop, Shawnee. I'm so sorry to hear that. That sucks. Carter, or a Subaru. Probably not going to get a Subaru. But I think somebody else told me that same thing. So, I don't know. Maybe. Mauricio Tabera. Hi. Hi back. Vincent Chen, wish I was closer. I would help you video your shows. I'm a bit of a videographer. I love cameras. I could use your help. There is a guy. I won't mention his name. He may not want me to. But he used to leave comments on all the Prodigy videos. And he said in some of his comments, this is a few years ago, that he had worked in television for like 35 years. And at one point he said he thought Prodigy was maybe the best locally produced show he'd ever seen, or certainly best low or no budget show he'd ever seen. And I took that as huge compliment from somebody who's worked in the television business for as long as he has. He lives in the greater Kansas City area, and I've made connections with him since I've been here. He's a great guy. He works the camera at Royals games and Chiefs games and does some of the KU Jayhawks games and the K-State, I can't remember what their name is, but the K-State games. And I learned something very interesting from him. He said that his assignment at some of maybe all of the Royals games is he runs the camera that's what they call the high home. And what do you suppose high home means? That's the camera that's up in the upper deck behind home plate. He runs that camera. What a cool job to have. And I thought to myself, well, if ever there is someone I know who could set up the cameras for Prodigy if I couldn't do it, he would do it. The problem is he's usually working on the weekends, and I can't pay him what his gigs pay, so that's probably out the window. So, Vincent, get your butt down here, and I'll put you to work. Josh, I have 3 bowling balls. I'm trying to get a 4th one. Okay. You can get as many as you want. Eddie Ortiz, the 4th. I bowled for my high school. Wasn't that good, but I loved it. The bowling alley we played at closed down due to the pandemic. That's too bad. And haven't bowled since. And now I can't walk due to a stroke-like event. Well, good Lord, man. I'm so sorry to hear that. Well, there were a lot of economic victims of the pandemic. So your bowling alley wasn't alone in that regard. I've actually talked to a bunch of kids that I used to coach in Georgia. I haven't talked to them, but I sent out a mass email to some of them or to their parents, letting them know that I'd had the accident and just kind of updating them on where things are. And I heard back from some of them who said that some of their kids have just given up bowling. And I hate hearing that. But, you know, people change their priorities. I mean, life goes on. I understand. There was a time that I wasn't into bowling too. But hopefully he'll come back, and he or they, some of them, or more than one. But anyway. Nico, don't you wish you had Christian to help you in times like these with filming these shows? Yes, I do. You know, as goofy as that kid is, he's actually a good-hearted soul, and I promise you, if I can ever figure out, I'm doing this stream using a software called eCam, ECAMM.com, and you have to pay for it, you know, by the year. So I should do more of these live streams to get my money's worth, right? But I haven't figured out how to bring another person on with me and show them to you using Zoom or Skype. Otherwise, when I do figure it out, I'm going to do one of these and get Christian to come on with me to co-host one of these streams. I know he'd get a kick out of doing it, and I think some of you would love to visit with him. He's all grown up now. He's now selling, he works for AT&T selling, you know, long-distance plans and iPhones and Samsung phones and you know, that stuff. So he's all grown up now. Mauricio Tabara. I'm a two-hander, and I play in Jib Lanes in New York City. Okay, I don't know what that means. Deshaun Craig, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to brag about living in Norman. I was only teasing you. I didn't take it as braggadocio. It was my facetious, it was more of a snide remark on my part about Norman. There's nothing wrong with Norman. There's nothing wrong with Oklahoma. It's a lovely place. I spent 18 wonderful months in Oklahoma. And don't take what I said as an affront. It wasn't meant that way at all. I just wanted to let you know I'm close. Well, maybe, yeah. I mean, Oklahoma's not that far from here. I forget where Norman is exactly. I know, but it's not. I can't remember if it's close to Tulsa or if it's close to Oklahoma City. I think it's closer to Oklahoma City, which is probably an hour maybe south of Tulsa down I-44, as I recall. And then I-44 up to Joplin, and from Joplin up to Kansas City is maybe an hour and a half, 2-hour drive. I used to make it when I was living in Tulsa, and I'd go visit my dad in Kansas City. So, all right. Well, anyway, I think, there's still a few here comments. Vincent Chin, long ago, my best was 256. Mauricio says his best score was 299. Nobody in the league at Jib Lanes, I guess that's the name of the house, never got a 300, and there was one person that shot it on the last shot. I left a stone 7. I was, man, I understand. Hey, Munchlax Gage. Hey, it's Gage Wilkins. So glad to be back to the tourney. I hope you are making a great recovery from the accident. First of all, those of you who don't remember Gage, he was on our September Division 5 show. He was the top seed. Gage, this is going to be painful for you. You might want to close your ears. And we had a girl go from the first match. She won the first match, second match, third match. And the last match came down to her and Gage. And Gage needed to make a spare to win. And he left, I forget what he left, a pretty simple spare. Maybe the 1-2, something like that. And he missed it. And my heart ached for you. But, I can't play favorites. I was happy for the girl that won. And, well, you'll get other chances. You bowled pretty well that match. You just needed one more spare. Work on your spares, buddy. Let's see. Jaden, RX2231. What bowling alley do you go to in your town? Well, I coach at Olathe Lanes East, which has by far the biggest and best youth program of any bowling center in the greater Kansas City area, and dare I say, maybe in the heartland. They are just fantastic. The lady that runs the program has been doing it for years. She's got it down to a science or an art, whatever you want to call it. And she's got tons of coaches. I mean, I practically had to beg them to let me coach there because they already had a bunch of coaches. And many of them coach at high schools in the area. I don't have that affiliation to a high school. So during high school bowling season, which just ended in Kansas, we don't see those coaches because they're busy with their teams. And so during those weeks, I'm often one of maybe 2 coaches, maybe 3. I can't think of a third one, but I know me and Lee Miller are usually there. So, I mean, there aren't that many coaches during high school bowling season that coach the league. So I'm delighted to be there. I'm so happy to do it. And most of all, I'm happy that I don't have to do all the administrative stuff that she does, because that got to be a real pain in the butt in Georgia because it kept me from coaching. And I love coaching. So God bless her. I'm so happy that she does such a great job. The kids benefit from it. I benefit from it. Everybody's better off, and the bowling center is certainly better off by having a strong youth program. When I moved up here, I'm gonna tattle on somebody here. When I moved up here, my inclination was first to look for a Bolero center. And there aren't any Boleros, but there's an AMF center here, and they're owned by Bolero. And it just so happens they are the closest bowling center to where I live. So I thought, okay, I was with the Bolero Center down there for, 5 or 6 years as a coach. Well, longer than that as a coach, almost 8 years, and ran the program for a couple of years. So maybe they need a coach, or who knows? Maybe they want somebody to run their league. And I went in there, and it's called AMF College Lanes, I'll just tell you. They don't even have a youth program. And I'm telling you, if a bowling center doesn't have a youth program, they don't have a future, because those are your future customers that you're nurturing with your youth program, whether they realize it or not. And so it doesn't surprise me in the least that most times when I drive by that center, their parking lot is empty or nearly empty. So, too bad. Sucks to be them. Manatee Power. Those Operation Lifesaver PSAs have made me overly paranoid on the road. I guess that's what they're supposed to do. I don't remember any Operation Lifesaver PSAs. We do run PSAs on Prodigy now instead of those fake commercials that I used to lift off of YouTube. Well, they weren't fake commercials. They were just old-time retro commercials. I didn't want anybody claiming a copyright violation now that I was doing so much extra work on these shows. So I just, decided to get with the Ad Council, which is the same group that all the TV stations and TV networks use to fill their unsold commercial slots. And Ad Council is great. They produce high-quality stuff. And the PSAs that I like the most are the ones for the kids being in the right car seat. The one where the guy is putting up the basketball net gets me every time. And then the ones about fatherhood, and the one that I love is the one where all the kids are throwing the ball with their dad out in the backyard. God, that one just tugs at my heart. And these ones for adopt teens, those really pull my heartstrings. So you're going to see those sometimes. Trayvon, who's your favorite old school PBA bowler to watch, and have you ever met one of them in person before? Well, not only have I met most of the old PBA players that I used to watch when I was younger, but I've bowled with some of them and even competed with some of them when I was a PBA guy. I didn't bowl in very many PBA national tour events. Well, I was bowled in one. And I can't remember all the players that were in the field in that tournament, but I crossed with Mike Durbin. And who else was in the field? Ed Ressler, who ended up winning it. Dave Davis, who just recently passed away. He was the top seed. I think he was the top seed going into the step ladder. I don't remember who else was in it, but a bunch of them. But my favorites to watch when I was a kid growing up, I loved to watch Dick Weber and Ray Bluth. Ray Bluth was this guy. He would step up with the ball. I don't have a ball, but he would take the ball and he'd stand up here like this, and then he would go like this, and he would peek over the top of the ball, and then he would. You can find some old videos of Ray Bluth on Championship Bowling. The blooper. He was great. He's still alive. He's got to be in his 90s by now, but he was one hell of a bowler. Dick Weber and Ray Bluth were on the Budweiser's team that set the scoring record that stood for like 35 years with Don Carter, Pat Patterson, and who else was on that team? I am blanking on somebody's name, and I'm going to regret it later. But anyway, I got to bowl with Dick Weber once when I went out to Vegas. They had the Great and Greatest tournament, which was kind of a test run for what would eventually become the senior tour. But there was no senior tour at the time. So I went out there because I figured this is going to be the last time I ever get to see, Ray Bluth and Dick Weber and Don Carter and some of these guys. So I went out there. Somewhere around here, I have about 50 or 75 photographs I took of some of those old guys. But for some reason, I bought film that was developed into slides. So I don't have photographs, I have slides. And eventually I need to get them digitized so that I can share them online. Some great old photographs. It was taken at Showboat in Las Vegas. But I got to cross in the Pro-Am with Dick Weber. And I had a little bet with Dick Weber that day. I bet him a Coke. What are you going to do? I couldn't bet him $100. He would have killed me. But I figured I'll bowl him for a Coke. And I had him going into the 10th frame. But then Dick Weber did what Dick Weber always did. He doubled in the 10th and nipped me at the end. And I've never been happier to pay off on a bet and bought Dick Weber a Coke. But and then there was Earl Anthony. To my thinking, Earl Anthony was just the greatest bowler that ever lived. And I still think that. Loved watching Earl. And I loved watching Mark Roth. And Marshall Holman. I loved all of those guys. But Anthony was my favorite. And Roth was pretty special. Roth won his first tournament here in Overland Park, the very town that I'm in right now, Overland Park, Kansas, at King Louis West. The King Louis Open used to be the tournament that the PBA Tour did here in Kansas City every year. And Mark Roth won his first title there on the national tour. There was a local player, Steve Jones, who won matches 1, 2, and 3 to get into the championship match. And Roth got him in the championship match, throwing a 299, leaving a 4-pin on the last ball. It would be one of 2 299s that Mark Roth would throw on national television. How about that? Okay, Josh Lopez, can't wait to go bowling again. I hope you do. Niles says, how about a tank? Well, maybe that's what I need the next time I get a car. You going to pay for it, though, by the way? Mike Green, hi, Coach Randy. How are you doing, man? Well, you'll have to rewind this video. I'm not going to cover it again, but I'm so much better than I was a month ago. Joseph Bobbitt, good to see you are doing better. Thank you very much. Josh, what Pro Bowlers do you like and why? I've already told you. Of the current crop, I will tell you that Belmo. First of all, there's 4 Pro Bowlers, 4 touring pros that have been gracious enough to appear on Prodigy Bowlers Tour at my request. to record a little selfie video that we used to set up the opening of the show. They are Jason Belmonte, Parker Bone III, Norm Duke, and the Afrofish, Kyle Troop. And so those four guys kind of hold a special place in my heart because they were kind enough to, be on Prodigy. So I guess I'd have to say that they're my favorites among the current crop. I know Norm Duke is sort of officially retired, but those guys, and there's another one, Chris Prather, whatever it's called. I love his game. And that's about it. I mean, I can't think of anybody else I would single out as being, among my favorites. Now, those two guys who are from, one of them's from Kansas City, the other one's from St. Louis. They have their own YouTube channel. Brad and the other guy, Brad Miller, and I can't remember everybody's names. I can't remember my own name sometimes. But I would love to get them on Prodigy, if for no other reason than because we're right here in the same town. We should make videos together. That's what I think. But I haven't made any strong attempt to reach out to them. Wi-Fi, all I can say is this: make your spares, kiddos. In fact, making our spares is how a team I once was on did great against a team that had a 400-plus team handicap. Amen, brother. I'm glad you're up and running, Coach Mike Green. Thank you. Jerry Hippert, remember when Christian wore the horse head on one of the live chats? Oh, yes, I do. That horse head did not make the trip from Georgia to Kansas City. I got rid of it. I got rid of a lot of stuff. That apartment I lived in Georgia was infested with roaches the day I moved in. And then we had the pandemic, so I wasn't letting anybody in the apartment for like a year until the vaccines were available. And by the time I moved out, we had not an exterminator, but an entomologist, a bug doctor, come out and do the heavy-duty, extermination. And it started to make a dent, but it didn't get rid of them. And I pity the poor people who live in that apartment now because I can't believe it's all that much better. That place was disgusting the day I moved in. So when I moved here, I got rid of everything. I got rid of all my dishes, all my kitchen utensils, all my kitchenware, everything, pots and pans, silverware, everything. My nightstands in my bedroom, got rid of all of it. The only thing I brought, I've got a couple of folding tables here in my studio, and of course, a couple of TVs and speakers and stuff I use in my studio. I kept my bed. That's it. I bought all new stuff when I got here, and I haven't replaced a good bit of it. My living room has no furniture. It looks like a warehouse. I've got boxes everywhere, but no furniture. So, that's kind of just the way it is. I don't make the kind of money I did a few years ago, so I am doing my best to try to build Prodigy into something that I can make money with. If I can ever find sponsors for it, it might become something. Michael Stedman, thanks for your tips on bowling. They really help. Good. That's the intention. I use different balls for Brunswick and AMF. Josh Lopez. Okay. I'm kind of a Storm guy, or I was when I was bowling. Travis, glad to see you back, Coach. I watched you every show in Georgia. Thank you. That was a lot of shows. They were good ones, though. Some of them were kind of weird, but I loved the different formats. And if there's one thing I miss about doing the show the way we did it in Georgia, it's I miss the wacky formats. But honestly, I also love the fact that Prodigy sort of grew up and became a show that actually shows legitimate, real-deal tournaments. There was always discussions going on in the background between me and some of the parents about turning Prodigy into something more when it was in Georgia. But, there was talk about me putting on tournaments, but I can't put on a tournament by myself and do the show. And so that was kind of a non-starter. They said, well, you'll find people to help you. I wouldn't know who to ask. So it never really happened, but here it just worked. It was serendipitous. It just worked out. The KCO was looking for a way to promote their tournament, And I was looking for a way to keep Prodigy going. And, you know, I hope they're happy with what Prodigy has done for the KCO. I love doing it. I love working with them. They're great people. They run a fantastic tournament each month. And, you know, I'm just happy to be on their team. Jim McClements, hey, dude, how are you doing? I got to meet Mark Roth in a coaching clinic. Cool. JP, hi Prodigy, hi back, Manatee. Those European carbon monoxide PSAs are horrific. I don't think I have run any of those. Now, look, YouTube inserts commercials into the Prodigy videos. I don't have any control over that. The only control I have is telling them where to put them. If I didn't tell them where to put them, they would just indiscriminately pop up. Maybe when, you know, the most important shot of the match is being thrown. And I didn't want that to happen. So I opted to manage what they call manage the mid-roll commercial placement. So when I build the show, I always build commercial breaks into it, you know, thinking one of these days I'll have sponsors, or in the meantime I'll put these old-time commercials in it, or now I'm putting these PSAs in it. But I always leave a gap, and in that gap I tell YouTube, that's where you can put your commercial. That way it, you know, flows with the show. So they may be putting some of those PSAs in there, but I'm putting PSAs in it, but not that one. JP, I am using my sister's account. Okay, you can use anybody's account you want. Oh, he says, I was in the finals in Lawrence. So you were bowling in the top 5? Tell me more, JP. Nico Pujar, I remember when you got Parker to do that for you. His kids are so good at bowling. They sure are. And Parker's a great guy. Hey, JP, you're Dill Pickle. Okay, why didn't you say so? All right, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, this JP who's in our chat right now, he's just identified himself as the Dill Pickle. So we did the show in Lawrence back in, what was it, January? And the Division 2, I think it was. There was a kid on the show. He was in the first match. He lost, but bowled pretty well. His name was Dylan Pollard. And good little two-hander. Definitely has some game. And I have these kids fill out these little sheets that are kind of a questionnaire, so I can just know a little something about them, because otherwise I would know nothing about them, other than what they shot that day. So it gives me a little background information on the kids, and you know what they've done in tournaments, what their average is, what their high game, what their high series is, and any other little tidbits that they might want to share. And he put on there, one of the questions is, do you have a nickname? And he put on his, it's the Dill Pickle. Dylan Pollard, the Dill Pickle. Get it? So I just, you know, made a passing comment during the commentary of the show. I said, you know, he calls himself the Dill Pickle. He may live to regret telling me that one day. And I just laughed it off. I didn't make another comment about it on the show. But then YouTube has been really pushing creators to put out shorts, YouTube shorts. They're trying to put on the full court press to compete against TikTok. And I'm okay. I don't do TikTok, so I'll put some shorts on if it'll help build traffic to our channel. And so I've been going through old prodigies and just picking out little, you know, snippets here and there to create some shorts that basically showcase a particular kid. Or it might be a particular, you know, thing. I did one on the 300s that have been bowled on the show. I did one on, something else. I can't remember. But so I've done some on certain kids. And I decided to do one on the Dill Pickle. So it starts with where I say, his nickname is the Dill Pickle, and he may live to regret me finding that out. And then I cut to a scene where I took a clip art of a dill pickle and put his face on it. and turned the whole thing green. And he and his dad saw that, and they just thought that was the funniest thing they'd ever seen. And I was tickled by that and was glad that they didn't want to sue me or something like that. Because that's not my intention. Everything is always in good humor. And anyway, I saw him at the tournament Sunday, and he comes up to me and said that he is embracing the dill pickle thing. And in fact, he was wearing a green bowling shirt, had his green bowling shoes. Well, they're black, but they have green trim on them. And he's embraced this whole, I'm the dill pickle, dill with it, which I think is great. You know, I think he's 12, maybe. So he's going to be around for a while, and he's just going to get better and better, and I can't wait to watch him grow up and see what kind of bowler he becomes. Nico, Brad, and Kyle, thank you. Okay. We need to move this thing along. Carter Hone, hey, Randy, how's it going? I'm that unorthodox bowler you remember a month and a week ago. I shot my first 300. I get my ring in 4 to 6 weeks. I'm that unorthodox bowler you remember a month and a week ago. No, I don't remember. You weren't on Prodigy, were you? I think I would remember you if there was a Carter Hone who made the top 5 in one of the shows we did. You might have been on one of those lanes in the periphery. I don't remember you. I'm so sorry, but maybe I'll see you. Come say hello to me next time we're both at the KCO. Wi-Fi, ever see a tradition where if you leave a 5-pin, everyone has their hands up? Yes, and supposedly you buy a round of drinks for everybody who has their hand up if you miss the 5-pin. That was a thing at Roswell in all the adult leagues, and I thought it was stupid because all it did was promote drinking, and I don't drink. I'm not against it or anything. It's just not my thing. JP, is that? Yes, dill pickle. Yes. Okay, JP is the dill pickle. I have a YouTube channel called The Bowling Bro. Okay. Everybody go see Dill Pickle's bowling channel. The Bowling Bro. Sorry. I'll push as many viewers your way as I can. Good for you, man. Josh Lopez, hook up bowling with my fingers and thumb is going to be difficult for me, so no offense. Okay, I can't make sense of that. Munchie, here's Gage once again. I wish I made that spare. I completely forgot that the stepladder included handicap, so I stopped trying in the 10th frame and will never make that mistake again. Well, lesson learned, young Mr. Gage Wilkins. Yeah, never give up. There is a very strange moment in this show that's dropping this weekend where something very odd happens. I mean, the kid has already won the match, so what he did had no effect on the outcome. But he and his father were going at it. His father was trying to tell him something, and he misunderstood what his father was telling him. So he gets up and you'll see. And all I can say is, parents, let your kids bowl, sit down, and just watch. That's my advice. To be clear, I wasn't talking about your PSAs. I was just replying to the general road safety talk earlier. Okay, whatever. Carter, no. Garrett, are we getting near the end? These things just keep populating. Do you recommend any balls for a typical house shot? It has been so long since I bowled and was really in the know about the current line of bowling balls. I am like the last person in the world you'd want to ask. I'm sure there are some great ones, and probably any of the top manufacturers make several of them. I was a Storm guy. I would tell you that probably anything from, any of the higher end line of products from Storm are going to do you great. I think the real key to getting a ball that works for you is getting a ball driller that knows what he's doing. Because honestly, I'm going to tell you a little secret that ball drillers are not going to like hearing me say. Every ball driller I've ever met will tell you that they can drill a ball and you will never need a piece of tape. You will never need to patch a blister. They will fit it custom to your oval thumb and you will never have a problem. And I'm calling BS on that in the biggest way I know how. Because that couldn't be farther from the truth. Because nobody's thumb stays the same from one day to the next. If you took a shower an hour and a half before you went to the bowl, your thumb's going to be bigger than it would be if you took the shower that morning, or if it's winter and you step outside and it's cold and all your fingers shrivel up. It's just different. And I always wanted to get, first of all, I'm a bit of a throwback in this way, but I don't like oval thumb holes. Yes, my thumb is oval shape, as you can see, but I like my thumb holes to be round with very little bevel. I like them to be bigger than they need to be, and I'll tape them up in whatever shape I want them to be, and I'll peel pieces out as my thumb swells up or put more in as it shrinks down. That's the only way I know that it's always going to fit. Ball drillers don't like to hear that, but that's the truth for me. Carter, I bowled 300 at my Thursday night league. I'm the unorthodox bowler who bowls right-handed and ends right-footed. Okay. I got it on 2-2. Sorry, need to use periods more. Okay. I definitely want to meet you one day. Well, that'd be great if you did. Come say hello. Well, if it's any consolation to you, Carter, the first PBA national tournament ever held, 1959, was won by a guy named Lou Campi, Loucampi. They called him Wrong Foot Louie. Louie was a right-hander, and he ended up on his right foot. We had somebody on Prodigy win a couple of months ago, January, at the KCO in Lawrence in Division II. And she ended up on her right foot, right-hander, and it's painful to watch. I'm not going to lie to you, but hey, if it works, as they say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If you don't bowl well with it, then maybe it's time to look at something else. But Jim McClements, they put up their hand when someone leaves a 5 here in Massachusetts. They do it everywhere. It's the stupidest thing. Carter, you were asking if I remembered you. Sorry, but I don't remember what I ate for breakfast this morning either, so don't feel too slighted. All I have is a Storm Mix red and gold. Well, I used a Storm Mix as a spare ball. I guess it was one tournament I bowled in where the lanes were so chewed up I had to use it as a strike ball. But boy, they got to be pretty dry for that to be the right ball. But if I had a rev rate high enough, might make sense. Junior Raymond the bowler. Nope. I will be in the next KCO, and I hope to see you there. Well, Dill Pickle, I hope to see you too. Martha Payton here. Hey, Peyton Abel. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something about Peyton Abel. This is a kid that I knew of in Georgia. He lived up in, I think you're in Tennessee, aren't you? I believe that's right. He was in this group of kids that I knew who would bowl in the USA bowling tournaments. And these kids would try, and these parents would try to put together the best team they could to go to these USA Bowling Regionals to try to win a spot to go to Nationals. And Peyton would usually get on a team that would find their way to Nationals. And I wanted him to get on Prodigy so bad, but he never did. Are you still young enough? Are you still bowling junior bowling, Peyton? You need to get up here to Kansas City and bowl the KCO one of these days. You might win it the way you bowl. Man, I'm not kidding you. This kid can really bowl. All right, Manatee Power. Speaking of parents, Norm Duke came to Baton Rouge for a series of clinics for youth clinics. He dedicated a significant amount of time lecturing the parents on not doing what that parent did. Well, look, I'm not dissing him. I mean, you're never going to catch me trying to tell a parent on how to parent their kids. That's not my place. When I was in Georgia, I saw lots of parents just ride their kids. I'm talking about at tournaments. They would ride their kids like mules. And it was, I had a hard time watching it. I mean, again, it's not my place to tell parents how to parent their kids. I have no business even, that's not for me to say. But boy, I would never do that to my kid, ever. I mean, I'd want him to do as good as he can do, but I just think, berating them and driving them so hard. I saw lots of parents do this. And, it's real funny, but ever since I've been here in Kansas City, I haven't seen a single parent do that. Not one. This guy, all he was doing was trying to tell his kid, what were the words? He said something to the effect, you've got it. You've got it in the bag. You can't throw it away. I mean, he had the match won. He could throw his next ball in the gutter. He'd still win. But for some reason, the kid thought his dad was telling him to throw it away. So he did. He threw one in the gutter. And it was very strange. And I was like, check the score sheet. Oh, yeah, he still won. But I was like, man, it was very odd. Kind of made his son look a little silly on national television. But, let the kids bowl. He knew what he was doing. He won the thing. Okay. Yes, Dylan is pointing out Kayla Hedges. She did win the tournament, and she ended on her right foot. Weird to watch, but it's the way she bowls, and she does it pretty well. Most of the time it's really about, can you repeat it? And she repeats it pretty well. Carter, yeah, I get recommended to help with my balance, but to be honest, I only bowl once a week. So I feel fine, but I do want to work on it. Well, I'm thinking, okay. Josh, what are the difference between the strike balls and spare balls? The strike balls will hook more. The spare balls have a harder shell and smoother shell surface, so they don't grab the lanes as much. And they don't have, for the most part, they don't have the dynamic weight core in the middle that pulls the ball in one direction. So they go straighter. They're built to go straight. You want your spare ball to go straight most of the time. Peyton Abel says, yes, I'm 16 now, and I'm still from Tennessee, still live here. That's what I thought. I can't remember everybody's place, but I thought you were in Tennessee. Say hi to your mom and dad. I've met them both. They're great people. I believe we all went and had a meal together once, as I recall. Manatee Power, although we can't tell parents what to do with their kids, sometimes it's pretty easy to know when a parent is objectively wrong. Parents got to realize that they are parents, not coaches. Well, I got news for you. Many of the parents of junior bowlers are the kid's coach. And that's okay. They know their kid and they know their kid's game as well as anybody. I knew a guy, I'm not going to mention who it was, but I will tell you that the junior bowler, was one of your favorites if you were a Prodigy head back in the day when we were in Georgia. He was one of the superstars, dare I say, of Prodigy. And he never bowled, or at least he told me he never bowled, but he was his son's coach, and I would be hard-pressed to name another parent, certainly, maybe another coach who knew more about the game about the mechanics of the game than this guy. Even though he never bowled, he was very, very knowledgeable. Okay, Trayvon. Hey, Randy, how often do you ever see two-handed chest pass bowling styles? Hardly ever right. It almost looks like they're playing basketball, I suppose. You know, the first time I saw it in person, I'd seen it on YouTube before, but I saw a little kid, little bitty kid. You know, he was maybe 6 or 7. Maybe, I don't know, maybe 8. Little kid. It was over at Brunswick Zone Austell, and I'm trying to remember the kid's name. We took Prodigy over there once, and he unfortunately was not there that day, so I didn't get to really meet him. But I saw him with his grandfather at Austell one day practicing, and this little guy, he was shooting in the 180s and 190s pretty consistently, and I was like, wow, and he was doing that. So I can't really explain it to you. It's hard to coach, but I've seen it where, you know, it's the only way some kids can bowl, especially when they're little. Now, to see the older ones do it, no, I'm not buying it. I learn to bowl. You know, learn to bowl or go play basketball. It's just stupid. Okay, I guess that parent wasn't too bad. But it's kind of funny how he took that literally. Yes, it was a strange, as you will see on the show, it was a strange moment. Yes, Peyton, yes, we went to Sonic, which, okay, so when I was living in Georgia, there was one Sonic drive-in restaurant. I love Sonic's onion rings. They have some of the best onion rings on God's earth. And I like their slushes, too, their strawberry slushes. God, love it. Anyway, Sonics were rare, and that one in Georgia was not very close to where I lived. It was over by AMF Woodstock, where we would go occasionally. And so whenever I would go to AMF Woodstock, I would always stop off at Sonic and eat. And then I move up here, and we got 3 of them within 7 or 8 minutes of where I live. So I can have all the Sonic I want here. I'm a little burned out on it now. I'm also going to Junior Gold, and I'm in the U15, and it is in Indianapolis, or as we say, Indianopolis. Dill pickle. Good luck there. I hope you bowl lights out. And the final comment of the night goes to Josh Lopez. People say that house balls don't hook that much, and the balls from pro shops hook way good. Well, I've seen people hook house balls, but they're revving the snot out of it to do that. And you know, if they did the same thing to like a Storm lock, say, which was, I'm kind of dating myself. That was the hot ball a few years ago. Last time I bought bowling balls, but it hooked a lot. Christian has my lock now. Anyway, if they did the same thing to the lock that they did to the house ball, they wouldn't be able to keep it on the lane. It would hook into the left gutter 35 feet down the lane. All right, one more. They're closed all over North Carolina where I am. Must be talking about Sonic. Sorry to hear that. All right, look, that's it. We've been on here long enough. I appreciate your time. As you can see, I'm not dead yet, and a new Prodigy hits Saturday at 1 Eastern, 12 noon Central. It's a good one, but the one you really don't want to miss is the Division I show that's coming right behind it. And I'm telling you, that is a show for the ages. There's good bowling all throughout the show, and the championship match is one you will not soon forget. It is a thriller. So, all right, I will answer these last 2, and then I'm done. I have one not even a minute away from me. All right, Peyton has a Sonic near him, and he has 19 300s. This is a junior bowler that has 19 300s. Peyton, get your mom to bring you up to Kansas City some Sunday. Go to kansascityopen.com. That's kansascityopen.com. Find out when there's an event that you can make. And you got to bowl this Kansas City Open. You surely would make the top 5. Of course, you won't be the first Georgia Prodigy kid to make it on the show up here because you never appeared on Prodigy in Georgia. See, you could have been the one. But you'd still do great up here. All right, Trayvon, it's unusual. This is not basketball. You can tear the lanes up doing that or even break the bowling ball. I don't agree with it. I don't think it's really a good style to have. Too much damage can happen. I don't disagree with that. Thank you for going live. No problem, Jim. See you, Randy. Thank you, Randy. Thank you, everybody. We're out of here. Good night. Oreo, do you want to make one quick appearance before we say goodbye? Come here. Come here. I'll bribe you to come here with this cookie again. It's wrapped up. You're not really going to get any, but come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Say hello. Come here. Oh, come here. You have to stand up and say hello. Oreo says, hello. I love you, Oreo. She's like, you woke me up from a dead sleep. You're such a good girl. All right, guys. Watch for the show in a couple of days. If you're a Prodigy patron, it's already available to you now. Otherwise, it'll be up on YouTube for you to watch on Saturday, and then watch for the Division I show right behind it in another week or so. So that's it. I'll bid you farewell for the night. Have a fantastic time, and I'll talk to you next time. See ya.